Hi everybody, it's Shadow Boy here. So I'm going to do a book review on this book, which is To Fly by Night, The Craft of the Hedgewitch, which is edited by Veronica Kommer. And yeah, firstly as well, I kind of want to apologise for the picture. I'm having major technical issues. Just don't even go there with what's happening in terms of technical things at the moment. This book is by Pendragon Publishing. I really enjoyed this book because it's a collection of essays. It's not particularly one author. And I think in regards to something so subjective as witchcraft, and in particular hedge witchcraft, I think it's very refreshing to have different points of view and different essays from different practices. Because when we do journey to the other world, when we do take that leap into the unseen, we take that toad leap or hair leap into the unseen, and we commune with the world of spirits, we don't always see the same thing as everybody else. 9 times out of 10, not always, but 9 times out of 10, mostly people will have different experiences from other people. And will have different interactions with different spirits or different gods or different entities. So I think it suits really well for this book to have more than one person input their thoughts, their beliefs, their practices into it. Some of the essays I was a bit like, meh, I'm not going to lie. Some of the essays I was like, you know, and it's one of those, you know, people have different points of view and you can't always agree to everybody's different perspective and point of view, but nevertheless, it's still interesting to read. The things I did enjoy, I enjoyed very much there are a couple of things that I enjoyed in here, which, What the Heck is a Hedgewitch by Juniper, I loved that one. I also loved, there's so many different things I really enjoyed. To Ride by Night, Mythology of the Night Riders by Eric DeVries, I really enjoyed that. I loved Getting a Running Start Aids to Jump in the Hedge, Elise Stewart. So there were things in here that weren't just points of view. A lot of these were recipes as well. Not all of it wasn't all just a juicy book of magic, but there were points in there to help you within hedge witchery. Knock and the Doors Shall Be Open to You, Meditation in the Trance by Christopher Crittenden. There's so many different things. Oh my god, To Journey with Volvastav, that was incredible. That was an incredible thing. There was quite a lot of Norse practices within this. And it really, oh my god, Perceiving Perception by Reverend Jack Green. Incredible. I found that amazing. I could go on. I could really go on. There was quite a lot of Norse stuff in this, which was really interesting in terms of Sieve and Goldar, and different practices and staving and you know the ecstatic shamanic practices of the Northern Hemisphere and things like that, which I found so interesting. One of the things I absolutely loved was an essay called The Dance Divine. And if most of you, probably, I don't know if most of you will know this, but I was a dancer professionally for some years, and I trained as a ballet dancer, and I still teach dance. And one of the things, I mean, this whole piece really connected to me. I actually found myself feeling a little bit like I was welling up, because it expressed certain things that I feel when I dance sometimes. But one of the things, the quotes from this book, the patterns that dance creates can get inside us, and when we dance, we tap into not just the energy of the current dance, but of all the dances that have come before it. We tap into the dance we shared with those who came before us and those who will come after us. And I love that. It just shows that connection. I thought it was beautiful. And there wasn't just this, there was things talking about singing as a ritual tool, or sound, and short rituals that you can do there. Stones, working with stones, things like anchor stones, things like witches' ladders for travelling. So many. There was also excerpts here from people that were in the fairy tradition here in terms of the fetch mate, which I found interesting. It wasn't particularly my thing, but I found it interesting to read. Hedgewitchery and traditional craft, historical implications and modern applications. So yeah, there was more things than this, but I really enjoyed this book purely for the simple fact that it was very, very personal to each and every individual person that wrote it, and you could tell that from each and every individual person's different experiences, that there was, you know, these were their own experiences and these were their own thoughts and practices. And as I said, with something as subjective as witchcraft, and in particular as even more subjective as hedge riding or hedge crossing, I found it fascinating. You know, there was research put in this book touching on different shamanic traditions in different regions and stuff like that. But yeah, I found it incredibly useful to read. I also found a couple of, it's not like a book of juicy hedge crossing magic. There are things in there to help you and aid you, but a lot of them are essays and thoughts on hedge crossing and things like that. But nevertheless, it's very interesting. And from this book, I have actually I've become inspired by my practice. There were things in there. There were some juicy bits in there, but if you're looking for like a proper juicy book of magic for hedge crossing, it's not particularly that. It's there are techniques in there, meditation techniques and trance techniques, using sound as an offering to the gods and to the spirits and things like that. So there was some very staving as well, using the staves and sieve, and it was very, very interesting, the techniques in there. Some of the techniques I was a bit like, some of the techniques I was enthralled in, but nevertheless it's very, very interesting to read different ways which people accomplish the aid of flight. And I think it's any book that focuses on hedge witchery and travelling in this present day in terms of witchcraft, I've got the utmost respect for, because the art of hedge witchery, the art of crossing that in between, of having one foot in this realm and yet one foot in the other, is very much a practice that isn't much practiced. There is some resurgence, and there is some, but it's very much a vital part of witchcraft. And I very much love looking at essays, looking at pieces that view witchcraft as a shamanic practice, and it's something that I very much find a lot of similarities with the practice of witchcraft. I don't think witchcraft is shamanism, but I think witchcraft is very shamanic. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this book review, but if anybody is interested, To Fly By Night, The Craft of the Hedgewitch, edited by Veronica Comma, and it's by Pendrag Publishing. A really nice read, really pleasant read, and really, I much find that I actually enjoy books on witchcraft that have different people's perceptions, because as I keep saying it, but I do think it's a very personal thing to a lot of people, and when people are going into something even more personal, as journeying, as travelling, as flight, as taking a hair leap or a toad leap, then it does become even more personal, because that's when they commune with their fetch mate or their familiar spirits, or, you know, their counterpart. That's when they commune with their ancestors and the gods that they work with, who have certain particular messages or information for them. So it's a very, very personal thing, completely. Not all the time, but mostly, in my experience. But yeah, over and out, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. Peace.